And now, with today's prophetic and inspirational program, here's evangelist Martha Sanchez.
Good morning, friends. Thank you for joining us again for another episode of I Can Do All Things. I am your host, Martha Sanchez, and you're watching on the HSBN network. And here we are with Brad Lively again because he's still sharing his testimony. And this is part 5. So, Brad, introduce yourself and then we can get started.
I'm Brad Lively, and I'm an executive coach helping businesses and families just secure their foundation and make sure that what they build endures and lasts and expands.
Great. Well, from what I remember last time, you were talking about meeting this beautiful woman that God has spoken to you about being your bride, and then we had to stop. So let's pick it up there and share with everyone.
That happened at a prayer meeting, and it kind of caught me off guard. And I had told her, because we there was interest there, but I had said, I don't want to begin a relationship that God doesn't start. And so I wanted to hear from God.
That's wisdom, Brad.
Yes.
Not many people do that nowadays, but
it's what I had learned after going through what I went through in my last relationship, having to break off, a 2.5-year relationship, which was difficult. And so, so after God spoke to me, and here's another thing, another mistake I made is when God speaks, we oftentimes draw assumptions on what it means and how to go about doing it. And so just because God speaks to you doesn't mean you necessarily know the strategy or the way that he wants you to go about carrying out the word.
So we can help some people. Why don't you tell them what they're supposed to be doing? Even when you hear a word from God, what is the next step?
Yeah, ask that question. Lord, how do you want me to walk this out? I just assumed, because he told me that he chose this woman to be my bride, that I was supposed to start dating her and then, pursue that into marriage. And so that's what I did. But after we got into the relationship, about a year or so, year and a half, I can't remember exactly. I think it was maybe around a year. Mm-hmm. There was issues, and at one time in prayer, I had this really powerful moment when I really felt like he spoke to me powerfully and wanted me to break up with her.
Wow.
And so,
because God, because in every relationship, it's not going to be perfect. So you're going to have issues.
Right.
But God spoke to you.
Right.
That was the difference.
And so I did it, and it hurt her deeply. And so, but I did it, and it lasted about 6 months, I think. And it was a really difficult time because she dated other people, and that was tearing me up inside. And
but you didn't.
No, I didn't. And so then around 6 months later, there's interest in getting back together. And I never heard from God. God never told me to get back with her. I think it was more my fear of losing her. Mm-hmm. And I also justified it by saying, to myself that, well, God told me he wanted me to marry her. And so we got back together. But here I am, lots of years later, looking back, realizing that God was trying to do something in me so that I could lead her and be a good husband and father, but I didn't allow him, I didn't work on his timetable because fear always perverts God's timing. Because we believe that we lack, and we believe that, we need things that we don't really need because we don't trust God. And so my fear for one assumed things when God spoke, and my fear caused me to do things that God didn't ask me to do. And that always creates harm and difficulty.
So I really want to stop here and help some people that are out there that are single and waiting. So basically, what kind of advice can you give them if they're waiting for the right partner, or maybe they feel that that God spoke to them about being with a certain person, but if it's not His timing, then things can still not work out or can be chaos, right?
Yeah, if you're trying to force something before it's time, it will surely cause chaos and harm. Because the only way that we can truly live in harmony with each other is if we surrender to the will of God. Because God created everything, He understands everything, He knows how everything functions and everything, all the history behind everyone and what they need. And so if we will trust Him with our decisions and with our strategies, God will teach us how to love everything into prosperity, into growth and multiplication. But it begins with us. So if we don't learn how to love ourselves by being in relationship with God and having Him love us like a good father loves his kids, if we don't go through that process with God ourselves, we're not going to know how to administer His love to others. And so anybody who's interested in relationship should begin by looking inside, by going into their hearts and dealing with the fears of their hearts and the trauma and the triggers. Because the more you heal from your past, the more it prepares you for your future. Otherwise, if you don't heal from your past, if you don't deal with your fears and your trauma and your pain, it will become your future. It will stay in your life. And so I think that's probably the biggest advice that I would give someone who is wanting relationship, because I want people's relationships to succeed. You can find I'll take me, for instance. I know God spoke to me about this woman, but the relationship ended in divorce. So
Wow.
Just knowing that might be God's will, it doesn't keep you from bad things. Like it's not just automatic because it's God's will.
Yeah. So it's very important what you said, and powerful, that we have to work on ourselves, not only know our identity and know who we are, but deal with the trauma and the issues that we were have inside that we're hurting. Because I've heard people say, like, you don't try to find somebody to make you whole, but you work on yourself so you can be whole yourself, and then you can find another whole person to partner with. So make sure you're taking notes on that.
Yeah, because, identity, or the lack of identity, is one of the biggest things that destroy relationships and marriages. When we don't know who we are, then we're more easily enslaved. And that's a big issue in relationship, is control. And our fears and the things that we want to control actually keep us from our identity and keep us from the deep, intimate connection that God wants us to have with Him and each other. And if you don't know how to connect, if you don't know how to be intimate with God, who loves unconditionally, who, it doesn't matter what you do, He's going to respond to you in love. If you can't be intimate with Him, and share your truth, the truth that's going on in your heart with him, you surely won't know how to connect with your spouse or a friend.
Right.
And so
That's
there's gonna
true.
that lack of intimacy will erode and corrupt the relationship, and then you just are living in an illusion. And so you're pretending, you're performing, and you're trying to earn this and earn that and control them, and they're trying to control you. And so it's just the illusion of a relationship, but it's not real.
Right, because a lot of times we're looking and seeking for completeness or wholeness in that person,
From that person.
from that person, but
Yeah.
not, but we need to, like you said, first, where we're going to get it from is from God.
Yeah, because if you believe, fear always teaches you that you lack. So if you believe that you lack whatever, intellect, beauty, ability, whatever, if you believe that you lack in any area of your life, finances, then that lack is going to motivate you to try and fill the lack. And so a lot of women, and men too, they struggle with beauty. They struggle with their appearance because we live in this culture that is perverting beauty. And it's saying, this is what you have to look like to be beautiful. Look at this woman. Look how many likes she gets. That's beauty. This is what men are looking for. And you start comparing yourself and you're like, well, I'm not beautiful. No man's going to want me. And this lack begins to teach you. And so you're like, I need cosmetic surgery. I need more makeup. I need, and you start going and chasing after all these things that you believe you lack. And then you say you do find a partner. One of the biggest things that women look for is validation from their partner.
True.
And if the partner doesn't think they're pretty or look pretty, their whole world falls apart and they're totally become a mess. They just become a puddle.
Right. But if we know that beauty or acceptance comes from God,
Yeah.
then we don't have to
You don't need it.
We don't need to look for makeup or
You can wear those
success or
things.
any other stuff to make us feel good about ourselves.
Yeah, you can wear makeup. It's like going to the gym. Are you going to the gym because you need to look a certain way to get the validation that you're seeking? Or are you going to be healthy? I mean, there's nothing wrong with using the little makeup. It's just knowing that your beauty doesn't come from the makeup.
Right.
And so that's the key.
The key.
Yeah.
Knowing where your validation, acceptance, and beauty comes from.
Exactly. Because if God provides all that for you, as he wants to, well, then you can't be controlled by any man. They can't leverage you into slavery because you're like, I'm beautiful. Well, I don't like that way that looks on you. Okay. I like it.
Yeah, whatever.
I like it and I really want to wear it. It's not that you don't ever I'd love it if you wear this, honey. Okay, I want to wear something that you like, but I don't need to. I really want to wear this today, so I'll wear that for you another time. But and the man should be like, okay, I respect that.
Right.
I'm not trying to enslave you. That's not how a relationship should be. There should be complete freedom.
Right.
And that's where we have to get to in our love for each other so that people are free. You're free to choose what you want to wear. And you don't need me to tell you how good it looks or doesn't look because you know who you are, you know you're beautiful, and your style is your style. And and so that frees you to go into your closet and pick anything that you want to wear. Whereas if you're controlled, you're like, I got to pick what my husband likes.
Right.
Now you can pick what your husband likes out of love.
Right.
But not you don't want to do it out of fear. Right. So we want freedom in relationship. That means if you want to go to the movie and they don't, Like, you're mature enough to be able to go by yourself, and it's not like, oh, we have a terrible relationship. He doesn't want to go to the movie when I want to go. It's like,
Yeah.
and the husband's like, if you want to go, you can go. Have a good time.
Yes.
Like, all right, well, have a good time sitting on the couch watching TV. Like,
True.
you
Well,
know.
anyways, so
Anyway, yeah.
how did
Rabbit
your
hole.
how did your relationship end up in divorce? Because you mentioned it. So
Well, the biggest one of the biggest reasons is I didn't know who I was. And I wasn't strong in my identity. I didn't have vision. I didn't know what God wanted me to do with my life. So he came, and when I joined the Air Force after we got married, and we wound up moving to Minot, North Dakota, that's when he came to me, and I was down in the missile silo monitoring our missiles, and I was watching TV, and this woman came on TV and taught about the 3 forms of control. So we had been married like over a year and a half. No, sorry. No, we've been married like 4 years at this point, and we had our first child. And I hear about the 3 forms of control: domination, intimidation, manipulation.
can you briefly explain that?
Yeah. So this woman came on. She shared. She started talking about the 3 forms of control, and this was like brand new to me. Never heard this before. Had no idea this information existed. And she shares domination, and domination says, "I'll make you do it my way." And then there's intimidation, which says, "I'll scare you into doing it my way." And then there's manipulation, which says, "I'll trick or deceive you into doing it my way." So all 3 forms of control, this is the last thing I remember, all 3 forms of control minister through the fear of loss. And so what I came to understand that to mean is fear looks for what you're afraid of losing, and then threatens to take that from you if you don't do what fear is asking you to do. So in relationship, when we want somebody to change, we try and leverage them, figure out a strategic way to leverage them into what we think they should do. And so we it might begin innocently, like with just a request. And if you get pushback, then you start having to like figure out, well, how can I get them to do this? Because this is what's best for them. You know, I want what's best for them. We do it with our kids too. And so the more afraid we get of them not doing what we want, the more we push on and leverage their fear. Like if they have a fear of rejection, then we begin to, in subtle ways, administer rejection when they don't do what we want. But if they do what we want, we give them acceptance.
Do you feel comfortable sharing maybe one incident or event that happened in your marriage that was displayed this type of behavior?
Yeah. I probably talked about it in the past, but one of the things that comes to mind is being late. So I was very punctual. My wife at the time struggled all her life, like even before we were married, with being on time.
That's all women.
Yeah, I'm finding that out. But
Not because of me.
But I was raised I was disciplined through fear of rejection. You know, if I didn't perform or do well, then there was rejection. Like I felt rejected in subtle ways. You know, like this, my dad would give me the silent treatment to show his disapproval and his disappointment. And it would create discomfort and pain that would motivate me to perform better or behave better. And this is a lot of the times what is used in disciplining kids. It's our fear of being rejected, right?
Right.
Our feel of being disapproved of, or the disappointment that's painful, that hurts. And so it motivates us, that fear of not wanting to feel that motivates us to change our behavior. But the problem is it doesn't heal us. So we just hide the behavior. And so I hated the silent treatment. It felt terrible growing up as a kid, but it's what trained me. And so I remember being late to church this one time.
One time.
Well, I'm just specific. You wanted a specific instance, yeah. Yeah, I would do the silent treatment whenever I felt like I wasn't being heard. This is when we start to engage these. Yeah, this is when we start to engage these unhealthy patterns. Is when we don't feel heard or seen. Because what does that make us feel?
Rejected.
Powerless.
Oh.
Yeah, it makes you feel powerless. Like, this is why parents resort to scare tactics when they don't feel like their child is listening. Well, that makes a parent feel powerless. And so to overcome that powerlessness, they get scary.
Yes.
And that scariness helps them to feel powerful because it winds up controlling the kid, you know. The kid now is scared, and they feel like they have no choice but to listen. And then when the kid finally listens because the parent got scary, it's like, oh, I'm powerful when I'm scary.
Yeah.
And so we start to bring that into business. We bring it into relationship. Like it fills our whole world. But we don't realize that when you get scary, you teach the other person, hey, I don't trust you, and I don't love you. And so the other person feels that message internally and pulls away from you. So you get what you want in the immediate, but over time you lose the relationship. So we were on our way to church, and I was not talking to my wife because I wanted her to feel my disapproval, my disappointment
Of being late.
of being late. And so in my own way, I was rejecting her, right, by not talking to her.
Right.
Or giving short one-word answers, you know, just kind of like looking out the other window, you know, just, we've all been there.
Yes.
And so my point in doing that was to make her feel bad, to basically pressure her fear of rejection or disapproval, leverage that into getting her to be on time next time. But all it did was make her angry, and because she was hurt by it. Because whenever we use fear tactics, we're actually harming the other person. We don't realize that, but it's an abusive energy. Whenever we partner with fear, when I say fear, I mean anything that's not designed in God's love. So like the things that come from God's love are patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control, forgiveness, you know, mercy, all these things. Anything outside of that comes from our fear of that not working. So when we don't trust in patience to get the job done, what do? We shift into impatience, which is us partnering with fear and us becoming more scary because we want to get them to do it now. We want them to feel like they have no choice, and we want to leverage their fear of rejection so that they do what we want now. And then we feel powerful, and we got it done, and we feel productive, and this is how we need to do this now, you know? And so we start to, when we want something done and we want it done quickly, we resort to fear. And so it led into this argument, that wasn't good. It didn't produce any good fruit. And the Lord dealt with me because the other reason that I was scared of not being on time was I didn't want it to hurt my reputation.
Right.
You know, I wanted to be seen as faithful, dependable, you know, respectful, all the things. But here I am being harmful in my attempt to get that.
Right.
And so God was like, I would rather you be righteous and loving and late.
Or you
Then-
could have made another choice and driven yourself to be there on time
Yeah.
and let her be.
Well, I don't know if we had two
late.
cars.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, there's other ways you could do it, but God told me I'd rather you be loving and late than fearful and on time and harmful, you know, and on time.
Wow.
And so how much of that
How did
is
that
really the
change
case?
your life?
Well, it was a slow, I didn't change right away because I didn't know what the root was of why I was doing it. I was still in performance mode, so everything was like behavioral modification. Whenever we don't understand the root of something, we just try and modify the fruit. So we try and modify our behavior to feel like, oh, I'm better now. But then over time, you resort back to your default pattern, which is the root system that's producing the fruit. Or you might give up one toxic behavior and pick up another one.
Wow. Yeah.
So this is worth talking about and spending time on because this is at the root of all relationships, and this is what breaks relationships.
Right. And it eventually broke yours.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. It took a while, but yeah, it did break mine.
And we're out of time. So you're going to have to tune in next time to hear the
27-part series.
final episode of what happened after your marriage broke and you had to divorce and where you are at now. Don't forget to tune in. Thank you so much for joining us today. Make sure you subscribe so that you can get notifications and follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
The preceding program was brought to you by the Holy Spirit Broadcasting Network, HSBN Television.